Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I think we're officially running now, so I'm just checking everything on my end to make sure that everything is working properly. So right now I'm the only one here. Make sure that everything is working properly. So okay, so it is working. So off to the side we have the live chat log that is going on, and so you can comment back and forth. This is going to be new. We're restarting the YouTube page again. Something that Terrence has primarily been running this end of the show for us. And I think we hit like a creative block for a little while. So we're just getting everything fired back up again. And I got inspired by Straight Outta Gotham podcast. And those guys, they've been doing some live shows. So eventually I want to get things set up to look a little bit differently so we can have more guests on the show. We can have Terrence and Ryan both, but I believe off to the comment section, off to the side, that should be running in your screens. And Terrence O'Neill is here, the co-host of Robin Everyone Loves a Drake. So we know Terrence is here, and so I'm just going to kind of riff here for a little bit as people are coming in, or if you end up seeing this later on, maybe Terrence and I will banter back and forth this way. I was trying really hard to find a way to get this so I could have people pop in and out. Just from the way that this is set up, it's a little tricky. So maybe the next time around we'll have a different format to be able to do that. So this is kind of just an addendum, if I could say that word right, an addendum to the show, just like our new Blogspot page that I'm recently putting together, and that's at blogspot.com. Blogspot.com. Everyone loves the Drake. Let's try that again. Everyone loves a Drake at blogspot.com. Man, I'm seeing things pop up here really quick. So that's one of our newest things that we have here going on. And then this. So to be able to have a little extra video content into the show, and I'm just kind of vamping here as people are filing in, so I really haven't said much yet. So thanks to people that are tuning in. Looks like we've got 3 people. Like I said, off to the side in the comment section, you can chime in with your questions into the show, and we will take them as they come. It's kind of like Friday night. The work week is over. It's COVID season, so that's fun, right? So yeah, not really. So hopefully the week has treated you really well, and as you're kind of looking at all the stuff back here to kind of amuse you for a little bit as people are coming in. The big thing that you saw on the thumbnail for this is that Tim Drake is going back to being Robin, which means that, I guess, as far as DC is going, hey, there's Terrence in the comment section as well. So apparently he and I can both operate this at the same time. So I'm on the YouTube side of it, but he's also on the YouTube channel chiming in. So this is kind of weird. So, but I got off topic there. So also, like, let's just start from the beginning of last week. So got my little handy dandy notepad here. So as Terrence is chiming in. So on Tuesday, August 25th was the release of Teen Titans Volume 2. It's actually Volume 6, Issue 2 for their annual, and it was I Was Robin. Now, this was something that was solicited for a while. A lot of the comics are solicited 2 or 3 months in advance. And at the time, I thought, well, clearly they're not going to take Damian Wayne, and we'll get to Damian in just a second, but it's going to lead obviously into the topic. But they're not going to take Damian away from being Robin. That's the ploy of, very similar to the Teen Titans issue from when Dick Grayson threw away the Robin costume, and well, ironically, kind of worked the same way. But where Dick throws the Robin costume in the trash, or it's hanging on the Teen Titans along with Wally, and the Spider-Man issue that's escaping me right now, where Spider-Man throws the costume in the trash, where the hero is really not going to walk away from the role, and there's a fight or a misunderstanding. And spoilers if you haven't read it, so we're going to be talking spoilers here. Hopefully this book is 2 weeks old and you know what happens in here. So if not, I could plug your ears for a little bit, but stay watching. Damian, and long story short, in Teen Titans, Damian is and we'll get into this. But as far as what Damian has been doing in Teen Titans, he's kind of looking at what his father has been doing and is seeing a rinse, lather, repeat mentality, and is going as far as to lobotomizing some of the criminals, figuring if rather than just lock them up and putting them in jail and then them break out and we just keep doing this cycle over and over again, let's break the cycle. Or in the movie The Office Space, we fixed the glitch, so to speak. So he removed that part of some of the villain's brains, or that was his idea, and that may stop them from committing those crimes. Apparently it goes too far and someone dies as a result of it, which alerts Batman to what Damian's been doing. And of course, Batman is omnipresent, just as he always is, and knows of his son's deeds and calls him out on it. There is a fist fight between the two, causing Damian to rip the R from his chest and quit the role of Robin. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, and the main idea of the show, we'll see where it goes from there, is now just keeping this in perspective. So issue 10 from Young Justice came out 8 months ago. Fast forward 8 months, and then you have COVID in there stopping things for a little bit. We arrive at issue 18 of Young Justice that came out this Tuesday, September 1st. And as the bottom says, I can't read backwards, date night gets dangerous for Spoiler and Drake. And Terrence, Ryan, and myself have talked about this. And if you're listening to our sister show, Everyone Loves Young Justice, Jay Oz and I have talked about this ad nauseum, of the Robin costume, the brown bomber, our UPS driver here. And I'll get into more of that as the show goes on. And it always killed me that they've got the Drake logo. I like the font. It's in the classic Robin font, that we've seen there with the classic R's and everything like that. But the D on his chest, like, why didn't you just do the D down here? Not that that would have made that costume any better, but at least would have made the logo look a little bit better. But in this issue, Tim returns back to the role of Robin. Now, with everything going on like CBR, Newsarama, and Screen Rant and all those things, this was telegraphed to us probably 2 or 3 weeks in advance, or at least probably not 2 or 3 weeks. It was about 2 weeks, right around the same time that they were talking about the Teen Titans book and what was going on with Damian. We kind of had this clue of like, is he really turning to Robin? So I would have loved a variant cover of this, and the variant cover just be Tim back as Robin. So how do I say this and not offend either side? I'm happy that Tim is returning to Robin, and going through a lot of the comments that I've been reading on our Twitter account and then on our Facebook page and various different other Robin groups, Red Robin Facebook page, the Robin Facebook page, both on, obviously on Facebook, and then, our Everyone Loves the Drake page, seeing people's mixed reactions of this and saying that it's a regression for both of those characters. Damian is another bag of worms we'll get into in just a little bit, but I don't necessarily think it's a regression in the way for Tim. Maybe if we assume that they're real characters and he's taking a step back into going into the Robin role, I don't necessarily agree with that thought. I mean, I can understand it from a whole that, when Damian came in, I think that's where a lot of Tim Drake fans, when Damian came in, we were instantly kind of cheesed, like, hey, Grant Morrison's bringing this character in, and I hope he doesn't become Robin, and then he becomes Robin, and Tim Drake becomes Red Robin. So I know for me, for a fan, that was right about the time where I kind of stopped reading for a little bit. We had Batman RIP, and then this whole Batman Reborn thing started with Dick being Batman and Damian being his Robin, and then Tim being Red Robin. I was just like, I don't know if I can handle another reboot. And I kind of checked out for a little bit. And that was right in, I've said on the show a few times that I'm a drummer. I was playing in various different bands at that time. So I thought, I'll just kind of do the rock and roll thing. And I kind of forgot about comics until the Arkham video game came out. So there was a companion comic, so that pulled me back in, and that was right around the time that the New 52 was just starting to get, Flashpoint was on the horizon. Like, hey, there's this new thing coming on. So right about, I think, the 23rd issue for a lot of those books, I started getting reinvested in comics again. So I bought a bunch of the Red Robin books and bought a bunch of Batman and Robin books and started going, oh, okay, I'm kind of getting back in the trenches. And I started thinking like, well, this isn't too bad. I still really don't like this Damian character all that well, and I would rather Tim still be Robin. So I was kind of torn about that, but then it kind of went on its way, and then we got into the New 52. So the New 52, I'm thankful for a couple reasons that brought me back into comics, but at the same time, it also made me go, I kind of miss some of the old stuff in the previous continuity. I kind of miss Wally West and Kyle Rayner and, a lot of the stuff that was back in the 90s and 2000s where DC was really going on a nice stretch of books. I'm just kind of checking different things that are popping up here. So once we hit Rebirth, like Tim has constantly been kind of shifting. He's been left out of media, although he's been in the Arkham video games, a little different than he normally has been, but Tim has kind of been there on the fringes. And Terrence and Ryan and I have, made no bones about it, that the New 52 was not kind to Tim Drake at all. Tim Drake really wasn't his real name. It was his witness protection name. So I think if I remember right, the name I shall not mention, had I think it was his middle name became his last name. So his middle name wasn't Timothy Jackson Drake. Some people think it was Jackson Drake something else. So he had to change his name for the witness protection program. So once Rebirth hit and James Tynion was like, no, I want to show you guys why Tim Drake was the best Robin. Let's put him back in a Robin costume, still call him Red Robin. So whether you liked the Red Robin costume or the double R, which I think I'm one of the only few that really thought the two R's was kind of cool. Like, hey, there's a second R on it. I've heard some people say it would have been cool to have the Red Robin bird logo in place of the R, which that'd have been kind of cool too. But after, what was it, 6-7 years of the New 52, actually almost 2 years of content from the New 52, and getting to that 52nd issue for a lot of these books, to see Tim in a Robin costume again, it felt really good. And then we get into continuing on from Rebirth, and we land in Young Justice and seeing Connor Kent's back and Bart is back, and a Wonder Girl that looks like, a Wonder Girl that we know and love rather than the New 52 version, which was okay. And there's Tim Drake as Robin. So as Robin fans, I'm like, and that's where Bendis was kind of teetering, like referred to himself as Tim referred to himself. He was one of the Robins. Some issues he called himself Red Robin, some they called him Robin. But I think for a brief moment, I've got a print somewhere. This cool print from Pat Gleason that I got signed 2 years ago or so. But there's two Robins, and I was always a big opponent of, why can't there be two Robins? There's 900. I love it when the camera fades out here. Gets all, I'm going to be fighting with this thing all night. But when there's two Superboys, you have John Kent and Connor Kent, and like I said, 900 Green Lanterns. So hey, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping the show. But so that never bothered me. And then the Drake happens. So I feel like if you look back at Tim Drake's trajectory from 2009, right as Batman Reborn and Batman RIP and all that stuff, and you follow that all the way through the New 52 and all the way through here, when I hear Damian Wayne fans say that we have a regression of the character, and I'll get back into that in just a second, I really feel like in a lot of forms of media, Tim Drake has just been left out. when you're talking, this is a character that sustained his own book for 183 issues, and you tack on another 26 for Red Robin, and then you also include Young Justice, which was another 54, 56 issues, and almost another 100 issues of Teen Titans. You have a long run of Tim Drake as Robin. I got a question here. I was asking this earlier. Why can't there be two Robins at the same time? One can be Damian and the other can be Tim, aka the good Robin. I agree. And that was kind of my point. Why not two Robins? You have, even if the Robin that is the partner to Batman is Damian, that's perfectly fine. And then you have the team version of Robin being Tim Drake. So if anybody, I'm not reading Batman Beyond at all, but I've seen enough solicitations to know that Batman Beyond is in the continuity of DC Comics. So in the future, Damian Wayne is the head of the League of Assassins. So I think knowing that all of this is ending, Young Justice is ending in 2 more issues with issue 20. So I wonder, I mean, you got to look at the other books that are going around. We'll talk about Tim just for a second here. So with all the other books that are going around, you got the Joker War that is going on in all of them, but the primary Batman title that's being written by James Tynion, who wrote Rebirth Detective Comics. And Tim Drake was a huge part of that book. And any other artist or writer that has taken Tim Drake, even for a little bit, for a story, just a background character, he's always referred to as Robin in that book, or some not derogatory, but some little poke at Tim's Drake costume and Drake name. I think if there was a better identity for Tim, and I want to get to this in a second, if there was a better name instead of the Drake that was used, people were saying Cardinal or Sparrow, or we got the hiccups, or some name like that, the people would have been like, oh, this is a lot better. I have a real hard time saying that any character name with the legacy, the 30 years or now 31 years of Tim Drake being a character, that is a hard legacy to change and say, you are this brand new character. It would have been interesting for the internet to be around in 1984 or 85 when Dick Grayson was announced to be Nightwing, what that would have looked like. Would there have been a big, huge fan uproar, or people mad saying the disco collar looks horrible, it's stupid? I think it's just something that happened. Everybody took it with stride, and it was a thing. So I think that's another part people look at as, well, the character, he's having a chance to grow. The only reason that certain characters in DC Comics ever grew was out of a story necessity. I mean, everybody had stayed. I mean, Batman is perpetually between 35 to 37 years old. Maybe that's been shifted a little bit to, 36 to 37 or 38, or maybe he's just 40, still in the prime of his life, but he's had a few Robins. So that came down to the Bat offices. Denny O'Neil has talked about this previously, the late Denny O'Neil, and Marv Wolfman going, we want to bring Dick Grayson back into the Batman comics again. And the Titans team was like, no, we're having excellent sales with Dick Grayson in the books, and we don't want to give that character up. So for whatever reason, you've got Detective, and you've got the Justice League, and you've got Batman, and Batman is in all 3 books. Why couldn't they have just said, well, we're just going to throw Dick Grayson as Robin in Batman and Detective and continue on their merry way? But they wanted there to be this distinction. So the argument was settled, like, fine, you keep Dick Grayson, but we want Robin, which forced them to create a persona for Dick Grayson getting Nightwing, and them deciding, well, we'll just create a new Robin, and bam, there they go. And they create Jason Todd. So the first version of Jason Todd was essentially a clone of Dick Grayson. So after a while, they're like, well, to me, that's the cheat way. Like, we wanted a Dick Grayson character, so we made a clone of Dick Grayson, but it's not really. So we'll retweak the universe and we'll make Jason this street kid and he's going to have street smarts. And that didn't work for fans at all. So obviously the famous 1-900 number kills off Jason. So they get a third time to create a Robin. And this time they decide we're going to try and do it the right way, the correct way. And it's an instant smash with fans at DC, including yours truly here, that I remember seeing Batman 89 and getting inspired to go start buying comics. And I was buying them, off and on, but I became a comic book collector because of Batman 89, being 15, 16 years old and going, I've got my own money I can burn from paper routes and stuff. And, Terrence has said before on the show, like, I have a bike and, Tim's riding a bike. So we kind of grew up with this character. And I think for the two miniseries, I know the first one and definitely the second one was the top selling DC book in their respective years, I think being 91 and 92 of that years back to back. And in the top 5, the Robin book was the only DC book in 1991, if I remember the sales chart right. And the next book in the top 100 was like Superman, and that was down at like 75. So that should tell you something of the popularity when Tim was first created. In one of the if you go to our blogspot page, everyonelovesthedrake.com.blogs, or everyone loves the Drake blogspot.com, you can read a post and the tribute that I do for Denny O'Neil, the write-up he writes about Tim Drake in the Joker 2 Tragedy and Triumph trade that came out. And he had said that in that year that Tim Drake Robin was more popular than Batman in that year. I think it was 93 that was written. So that huge long-winded explanation, there's, for whatever reason, when the New 52 hit, there was this shift to make everything new and different. I really think if they had kept with Tim Drake being Red Robin and left him have his own series, I don't know if we would be necessarily where we are, but maybe we would have. So getting to another comment here says, well, I didn't know that about Tim's initial popularity. Yeah. Terrence is really good about pulling up some of the figures, and I'll try and get some stuff up here on the screen. But with doing the first live show, my luck, I'll click off screen and we'll be out of here. But see, when I'm doing all the talking, I get all cotton mouthed, which is why having Terrence on here, I don't talk as much. But, I say that huge, long-winded explanation to kind of get where we are. For all of that growth that people want to say that Damian has had in 14 years, and I've heard some people say it, and I can get it to a degree, that there's this character assassination with Damian. It was kind of happening to Tim on some level, maybe not as bad as Damian, and I get it. But from 2009 up until recently, Tim hasn't had that footing in there, and hearing people say, well, Tim was a character of the 90s and maybe it's time to let that go. Well, Batman was a character of the late 1930s and the late 1940s. And yes, there's been some Batmans in and out there, but that argument never holds well, because then if it's like, well, anybody from the 90s is a throwaway character, I don't know why we're still focusing on those characters. Then why are we still focusing on Batman? And people are saying, well, Batman is selling. So was Tim Drake. Tim Drake was selling very well into the late 2000s, right up until the New 52 happened. It wasn't like, the Robin series was in danger of getting canceled. It was still doing very, very strong numbers. So to say, well, we should just chuck that out the side, then why have we been reading Wonder Woman comics this long and Aquaman comics? He was right on par. So I think when the change happened, whoever was at the top, Dan DiDio, if you look at the New 52, there were constant shots at all of the Robins all the way around. We had Dick leaving Nightwing and becoming Grayson. Jason Todd went through some couple different changes. They killed off Damian in Batman. I'm losing my say Batman RIP. I'm saying Robin RIP. Batman Incorporated. That's what it was. Anthony says here, if Tynion didn't take over Batman, do you think Tim would still come back as being Robin? Switzer says Dan DiDio hated Tim and pretty much every legacy. Yeah. Terrence, I'm not sure if I can add you to the video. Let me see on that, bud. I will try here in just a second. So let me answer these couple questions. I think Tynion right now might be the saving grace for Tim and if you've listened to our episode 74 for our podcast, I believe that's the correct number, 74. It might be 75. One of those two. After we do our Lonely Place of Living radio drama that I produced for the channel, we interviewed James Tynion. He obviously is a huge Robin fan. And, he's stated so eloquently on the show, better than I can for him, that he, I don't know if Tom King was still in the book. I really don't. It's hard to tell. I kind of want to say, just like Tom King and Scott Snyder and anybody that's on the main Batman title, as long as those books are selling really well, they seem to be the ones saying, hey, we want to do this with the character. I want to use these characters. And I also think that goes back to some of the creators just not liking Drake. So, all right, fine, this is the costume that he's in, but we're going to refer to him as Robin, and we're going to make little pokes. So you're probably right. It probably is. What am I trying to say? It probably is because the Tynion is on the book that is saving Robin. But I also wonder too, with Young Justice ending, that if DC or maybe AT&T, maybe somebody at AT&T is a huge Tim Drake fan, whatever Bendis is done doing, like, all right, when you're done doing your Young Justice thing, we want you to put all your toys, so to speak, back on the shelf and put the characters back in the same place that they were when you first got them. So I don't know if this was part of the plan all along, that they're going to do all this with Tim. It just seems really weird. We're doing this for 8 issues, and then in a 1-sentence passover, it was like, hey, we were going to have this intervention for Drake, and maybe it was something Spoiler and Batman said, and that's why Tim is Robin. So that feels like that was a quick change to the book, and now Tim is just Robin. So that's kind of interesting. Terrence, I'm not seeing. Let me see if I can pull. I don't know if I can pull you into the call with you being on the same account that I'm on, because technically Robin Everyone Loves a Drake is already it's already here. So we're working on this, folks. We'll probably have a new format to be able to get Terrence and Ryan and I both on the call at the same time. So a little behind the curtains peek there. Terrence, I think the only way I can possibly get you on is if you're on a different account. So not sure. So anyway, back to this. So I think that's kind of where we are, that I think because enough of us Tim Drake fans, and I know I'm guilty of it, after a while, I'm like, okay, I don't think people on our podcast constantly want to see me griping and complaining about Tim Drake in the brown bomber costume. But I think that message got to DC. So it could have had, the other reaction. They could have let Young Justice just end and then taken all those characters and put them back on the shelf and go, maybe someday somebody will want them. So I'm glad that Tynion was like, no, if I'm going to have this Joker war, and I'm going to bring the whole Bat family, I want to use Tim Drake as the character I like him as, and that's what it's going to be. So I think that's probably the bigger pull for DC, that there is love for this character. Now, the other side of this is Damian Wayne. And I've said before, I couldn't stand Damian for the longest time. And if I can pick it up here. two books. So the New 52, while there were a lot of things about the New 52 that I did not like, there were some good things about the New 52 that I like, and I really hope this camera starts picking this back up here. And that was, as much as I loved Snyder and Capullo's run with the Court of Owls and Death of the Family, to me, the heart of the Batman titles was this book. Let's see if I can get this thing to free focus here. There we go. And then Superman, which I had the Super Sons just a little farther off here, but these two characters. So Superboy, Jonathan Kent, and then Damian Wayne, Robin. So the both Super Son books are both fantastic. And Tomasi, as much as I liked Morrison's version of Damian, and Damian was originally not supposed to last and make it all the way through the Batman and Robin book. He was supposed to be killed off, and that was going to teach Bruce the lesson again, I guess, so to speak. I'm probably paraphrasing for Morrison, that, you know, when Jason came back, it kind of took that pause or that break for Bruce to go, this could happen again. And that's what made Tim's history so rich, that you constantly had that Robin trophy or Robin memorial in the Batcave that Bruce and Tim were both lamenting over a lot. Like, one false step and that my costume could be right next to Jason's. So when Jason comes back, it's like, you know, that moment or that pause, like, hey, I've got my son back. So I think that was something Morrison wanted to do. Damian was gaining more was being popular. So he continued to be used. Morrison did eventually get to kill him, and then they brought him back again. We fast forward 14 years, and we get into midway through 2019, and Damian starts doing this. And it's right around the time that Jonathan Kent gets aged up. And so I think a lot of this is Bendis's doing, or Bendis's undoing. The things that Bendis started pulling out of all of this started this long descent into where we are. And then you have everything going on with AT&T coming through, and editorial staffs getting changed and things getting streamlined. You know, you look at the Gotham Knights video game, which I don't necessarily put a lot of stock in this, but you've got Dick Grayson Nightwing, Jason Todd Red Hood, Barbara Gordon Batgirl, and Tim Drake Robin as and I'm looking at Terrence here saying, yeah, sorry, can't add you. So I have to wonder if that's the Robin that our media stream is going to, maybe there needs to be one Robin in here, and people could say, well, maybe that should be Damian. And sorry, we're reading Terrence's reply here. So Terrence is going to hang out in the chat. I can't add him. We'll figure this out for the next round. But so going with Damian, I think that could go either way. But as much as probably out of the 14 years of Damian's existence, it took me about 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5, if I'm being honest, to really get to the point where I like the Damian character, and I really started to love the Damian character. Now, I still looked at Damian and went, I wish Tim was still Robin, and I wish Damian was another thing, still the same character, but, you know, still who he is, but we could still have Tim be Robin. Yeah, we'll probably have to use Hangouts to get Terrence on here. That'll probably the next thing we'll do, so we both can be on at the same time, just so we don't have to hear my mouth blather the whole entire time. So I said all of this for about 30 some odd minutes to say I obviously don't work at DC. I don't know exactly. I shouldn't say I don't know exactly. I have no idea why DC is doing what they're doing. But as much in all the Damien figures that you probably can't see that are just offside of the room. There's probably a couple up here. Tim Drake is my favorite character, but my favorite superhero is Robin. It doesn't matter who Robin is, if it's Dick, Tim, Jason, Damien, Carrie, Kelly, the We Are Robins and all that. I just like Robin and Robin's stuff. But as much as I do like Damien, I know that there's a good majority of people that are not fans of Damien as Robin. And Terrence says, like the Funko display way up here. If anybody wants to, like, sometimes I'll watch videos and I'll go, oh, hey, I like that display. What is that thing? If you go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby, this is something you would put a baseball bat in. So there's a glass door that folds up, and I think I just took those pieces out. Yeah, I found them. So these are the pieces, and I'll get onto my topic here just a second. So these are the pieces that would hold the baseball bat up in there. They just slid right out, and the pops fit in there. Now, recently, for people who've been doing this, they make those without the baseball slits in it. And Terrence is picking on me saying, it used to be the anti-Funko guy. No, actually, Ryan is the anti-Funko guy. I was more of like, I don't know if I need another thing to collect, because good Lord knows I have enough. So I kind of stuck to like, all right, I'll buy all the Robins that they've made, and I have done that. And then when the 80th anniversaries started for Batman, then I started buying that. I'm a Kiss fan, so I bought the 2 Kiss drummers, Eric Carr, or excuse me, Peter Criss and Eric Singer, and then a couple other little things. So yeah, I was on the fence Funko guy, Terrence. But so I think with Damien finishing that thought, and again, at any time, if anybody's got anything, shoot it in the text here. I kind of want to keep this going, and just, how do you feel about Tim Drake becoming Robin again? Is it a step back for the character? I got 2 thoughts going. I'll try to finish both of them. To finish the Tim Drake angle, I don't think it's a step back. While I love Tim Drake as Red Robin, and seeing Tim Drake being a little bit older, maybe pushing 20 years old, maybe he's 18 or 19, as opposed to being 15 or 16 or something like that. I still think if you said Tim Drake right now, the first thing you think of is Robin. I know people will say the exact same thing for Damien, because that's the only character Damien has been. But I think of the two, that if we would have put up a poll, who do you like better, Tim Drake or Damian Wayne, like as Robin? And maybe I'm being naive in saying this, I still think a lot of people think of Tim Drake as being Robin. While yes, it's cool that he got to quote unquote grow up and be his own hero, he was still a Robin, and is one of those that I think that is the perfect self for him. To me, I always thought that Damien's time as Robin was a stepping stone. Like, he was somehow going to leave it, and just in the way, just like they did with Jason Todd, the way that they were writing Damien wasn't all that too dissimilar from Jason, but they were making Damien seem like a self-righteous little brat, and people will say like, oh, that's just Damien's personality. And I get it. And like I said, keep being apologetic for it. I still like Damien, but there was something like, that's not how Robin would act. And on the other side, Damien leaving, I don't want to be at Robin 5 and Robin 6, and we're on our 98th Robin, and Batman is still, 83 years old. Even though Batman has come and gone throughout the years, Bruce Wayne is still perpetually Batman. I would like to think in another 80 years from now that Bruce Wayne is still Batman, that my great grandkids down the line, or my nieces and nephews, and I don't have kids, but my nieces and nephews' kids could be reading the adventures of Batman and Robin, and the same Batman and Robin that I was reading as a kid could be the same Batman and Robin. Let's quit trying to change characters and the characters that are working, leave them there. And again, I know that goes with Damian. Terrence says, I would love to see a big storyline with Damian and Tim fighting it out to see who would be Robin. Make it for the piece of crap for the Battle for the Cowl story when they fought to be Batman. And that's kind of happened, kind of sort of in the New 52. There was a Robin War before the Robin War. I think it was called the War of Robins. I think that was Tavia. Hey, how's it going? Feel free to chime in anytime throughout the conversation here. I'm just kind of vamping while people are chiming in. If I'm saying your name correctly, I'm so bad with names. This is where I make Terrence and Ryan say everything on the podcast. Like, read this name because I know I'm going to screw it up. So, see, Terrence is, and Damon easily beat Tim and left him. Bond impaled him through the cave. He fell from the dinosaur and all that stuff. There was in the New 52, don't quote me on the issue. I think it's issue 12, 13, something like that, of Batman and Robin, where Damian goes around to all of the previous Robins and wants to like half battle them. And each one of them is saying, hey, you're the current Robin right now, so to speak. So that's kind of sort of happened, but I get that. I think if they're going to take Damian down this road where he started becoming this likable, lovable little snot. Let me read Tavia's comment here. I'm happy with Tim Drake back as Robin, but again, I'm worried to Damian Wayne to quit Robin. And I think the universe is big enough that I think you could have had two Robins and just left it alone. Says, yep, that happened in the New 52, and Damian actually made fun of the New 52 Teen Titans. Yeah, exactly. So Damian has never been this 100% likable, lovable character where you're like, yeah, that's the perfect Robin. And I think having a Batman and Robin book, it was completely different having Dick Grayson Batman and Damian Robin, where the dichotomy is flipped. Instead of having the dark, brooding Batman, you have the almost white knight in like the Adam West, the happy-go-lucky Batman, and the dark and brooding Robin. So that worked. But putting Bruce Wayne and Damian together, you have the dark, brooding Batman, and you have the sword-wielding, pissed-off, dark, brooding, Damian Wayne at the same time. That doesn't work as the dynamic. Taste is indeed, in personality, in my opinion, is that I am sad that my favorite team, Super Sons, with my boy Jonathan, Samuel Kent, Superboy, and Damian Wayne Robin, got destroyed for garbage. I don't want to be like, Tim Drake's Robin again. Like, I loved Super Sons. That was a great book. And then I think one of the biggest things is Bendis coming on really wrecked a lot of what was going on great in the Superman book. I mean, you have Tomasi and Gleason writing a phenomenal book for Superman, and then you have Jurgens doing a great job in action, and Bendis comes in. I think Bendis is the big cause for a lot of this stuff. Now, I will also jump up and down and say Bendis also gave me Young Justice back, gave me Connor Kent back, gave me Impulse back. So Terrence says we should have had Red Robin, Red Hood. Yeah, I would have loved a Red Robin, Red Hood book. They made a great team in Batman and Robin Eternal. Anthony says here, what do you think of Damian moving over to the Nightwing book? Why not? When Dick Grayson gets his memory fully back, and it's going to happen at the end of Joker War. They've already kind of said that Dick Grayson's going to be returning to Nightwing. Give Damian a new persona if he's not going to be Robin anymore, and I'm fine with that. If you only want one Robin and there can only be one, I would prefer it to be Tim, just being honest. Throw him back working with Dick, and then move, since Young Justice is getting canceled, move Tim into Detective or the Batman title and be Bruce's Batman or whatever. A couple comments here that I missed. Tavia says, indeed, Bendis ruined everything with Superman and aged up my boy Jonathan Kent. Jonathan Kent was such an awesome character. So that was also one of those that you had two Superboys. So again, I might say maybe they could have kept John character wise the same way that he was, make him a different character, or when Connor comes back, you can make him a different character. Again, we're splitting hairs here. There could be two Superboys, but that character for Jonathan Kent is a great character. Now I don't get it. Let's see here. Terrence, Anthony of Damien becomes Nightwing. Yeah, Bo. What does Dick become? A puppet of the Joker currently? How would you have Damian Wayne reunite with his friend Jonathan Kent, Superboy? Right now, if Damien's on this course, if the writers are wanting to write him more towards evil, I think the thing that they would have to do is de-age Jonathan Kent, put him back as his 10 or 12-year-old self. That might break through to the Damien character. Again, we're talking about them as if they're real people, so you'd have to have a writer do something like that, but I think it could work. Yes, and I know what you mean, Anthony. This is meant as a sidekick. Yeah, I could totally see that it's Nightwing and book, or maybe it'd have to be Nightwing and or anything, that Bruce puts out a call to Dick, like, hey, glad you're back, glad you're Nightwing, yada, yada, whatever. Damien wants nothing to do with me right now. Like I asked you once before, watch my son, and then they become partners. I think that'd be great. You'd have your dynamic duo between those two, and maybe Damien finds a new persona that suits him. I think that was something I was alluding to earlier. I think that was always probably the plan, the way I looked at it. Like, all right, Damien's going to be Robin for about a minute, is going to realize it's not working for him, and he's going to be his own thing, and taps Tim on the shoulder and say, hey, you've always been the one true Robin. And that was something that I was alluding to in our Blogspot post that I most recently did for Denny O'Neil. He was talking about they got Robin right for the third time. If everything would have stayed the same from the 1940s, I'm not talking like still writing like they did in the 1940s, but Dick Grayson could theoretically still be Robin. We would never have Jason if they would have just come to some terms and said, hey, we're just both going to use Dick Grayson as Robin. And maybe in 2020, Dick Grayson would have never been Nightwing. So it's not like one of those, like, I'm not saying I wish that was always the way that it was, but I'm glad we got Nightwing. When I think of Dick Grayson now, yes, I remember being Robin, but for me, he's always been, Nightwing. And I think that's great. I know Terrence and Ryan and I have a little bit of different opinion on some saying, I think the best thing that Jason Todd did was die. I'm looking at my Red Hood action figure here. That's kind of cool. I liked it when you really didn't know what side of the fence Jason was playing on. Turning his greatest tragedy now into a villain, I thought was a good idea. So maybe somebody at DC had that. Like, we kind of had that with Jason. Now this is Bruce's own flesh and blood is a rival. Tavia's got a couple things here. I agree with the fact that I would have loved to have two Superboys with Connor teaching John Kent. I think that would have been great. A brother relationship out of them. You've got the father and son, and that was something else. The family unit of the Superman family, I thought was great. You could have Big Brother John coming in, like, let me tell you how to deal with Clark, that type of thing. Not that you've got to deal like you got to deal with Bruce, but I know what you mean. You said, thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one who wants to see a de-aged. Yeah, I think it's a mistake. I think that's one of the other things. Let there be something in the universe that happens, and John Kent stays on Earth too long, leaves the Legion, and he's back to being 10 years old again. I think that'd be great. Speaking of Robin, Tim Drake, I just wondering what was the whole point? What was the point of the Drake stuff? Because it felt like it was a waste of time. Yes, a complete waste of time. We wasted 8 issues, an appearance in Superman, or was it Action? I forget what that storyline was. We're during the whole Leviathan thing. To me, it's one of those, I think, what's the best way to say that? Probably me coming over to your house and moving something just so you know that I was there. Like, hey, I did this thing. I took this Tim Drake poster and I turned it on its side. So every time you walk into this room, you'll know, aha, Rob Myers turned to that thing sideways. Terrence, I think if I'm seeing him reply correctly, was that your answer to what is the best thing that Jason Todd ever did? Was take a crowbar. Tavia, I think it was Action Comics and Tim showed up. Yeah, I think he showed up with the whole, like, he was there for the revealing of Superman again, which was something stupid. And then he showed up again with Young Justice when Connor and John were fighting. So yes, Terrence agreed that the best thing that happened to Damian, yes, drawn by John Romita Jr. And I've taken art classes. Hey Josh, how's it going, man? So I wish which that was bad. I don't want to ever say somebody like me going to your job and saying, man, you really suck at flipping hamburgers. Not everybody at every job is going to be a chef, or, I work in a warehouse, stacking boxes. I'm sure somebody stacks boxes better than me, but it's not for me to go to a burger place and say, hey, you really suck at making a hamburger. That being said, I do have eyes. I know John Romita Jr. has his fans. He's not my taste, but man, that was kind of rough. I'll just say it at that. Which the artwork was bad. Yeah. So I can understand Damian Wayne fans saying this is 14 years of character build up, and now we're just going down into the crapper. But it's kind of happened twice with Damian already. I mean, you've got this bright, cheery, colored character in his early stages of being Robin, lopping heads off and putting them in duffel bags and trying not to kill and do all this, to be edgy and all that stuff. I get it. But when you think of Robin, that's not what you think of. Terrence's work is horrible. Terrence said it. His work is horrible. These are not the opinions of Rob Myers. All the opinions on this part of the podcast. No, if Tim Drake would not have been in those books, I would not have bought it. I dropped the Superman titles. I tried to give Bendis the benefit of the doubt. And I've said before that really, really bad storytelling can be made up for in really great art. But you could have the best writer on the planet. We read with our eyes first. If the visual medium that you're looking at is horrible to read, I don't care. You could have today's top author write a book, but if the art is horrible, you're not going to buy and you're not going to enjoy the book. Terrence, this is where I wish would have had you on here so I could take drinks and just pull back here. Taven says, I'm still pissed that Bendis destroyed Superman for garbage. Yeah. I agree as well. The next few months and probably going into 2021 is going to be really interesting. Terrence has a random question, so fire away. And I'll stop to answer this when he pops it up. Do you like the new character Punchline? I bought a shirt that has Punchline on it. It's in the next room. The San Diego Comic-Con that never got to happen. They still have their merch store going up. And I thought, I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con, and, I have the ability to buy a shirt with a new character on it. Let's see. I think I got some comics here. Thought I had Punchline. So there I got on the Nightwing book. So anybody that's curious what Nightwing looks like right now. So we are at 72 issues here, and issue 50 was the last issue that featured Dick Grayson in the Nightwing costume, and now we're getting this. So there's Punchline that Terrence is asking about. I don't know if I like the character. I like the idea of the character. I think Tynion is doing some cool things with the character, but I'm not getting too attached to Punchline because I'm thinking at the end of the Joker War, she's done, but she's gaining a lot of traction. So I think if I read right, isn't there going to be a Punchline miniseries spinning out of this? So she's really close to being like, I guess the best comparison I can make it to is Jason Todd and Damian Wayne. They're very close. They're parallel with each other. You know, it's like Damian's just a more pissed off version of Jason or a more arrogant version of Jason. And Punchline is even crazier and more psychotic than Harley Quinn. So they're two different characters, but they're still pretty close. So I don't know. The jury's still out on Punchline. That's my long-winded answer. Speaking of Teen Titans, Tavia says, Young Justice getting canceled. That reminds me, what do you think is going to happen with both Tim and Damian and their teams? So the Teen Titans team, and I mean no disrespect to anybody that's reading Teen Titans. So it's been a minute. And you want to talk about characters. I mean, there is Punchline and Harley Quinn on both on the same page. They look like mirror images of each other. So I'm like, you've got Harley Quinn. Why do you need a purple version of Harley Quinn? I get that she's different, but is she that different enough that she is going to outlast the powerhouse that is Harley Quinn? But what I was going to say about Teen Titans, I can't remember half of the people on this team. There's, a second Wally West, which, again, if you wanted to make a speedster, and I'm not trying to get into a whole political thing here, this character did not need to be called Wally West. It could have been anything. I don't know why you needed Wally West. Anyway, we got two Wally West. That's a topic for a whole another day here. While I enjoyed Teen Titans, this new team, it took me a while. Like, we don't have Starfire. We don't have a Beast Boy. We don't have anybody that really is part of a normal Teen Titans, and Starfire's in Justice League Odyssey, and they kind of broke all that up. So I was initially going to drop the book, but it's Wallace. Yes. Wallace West. Yeah. Just a mess. Honestly, that team for Teen Titans, I think I don't mean this bad if you like the team, but I think will be put in, not file 13, will be put in the bottom of the drawer, and maybe somebody will go, hey, do we have another Archer character out there? And somebody will pull it out. So the only prominent character in that book is Damian. Now, Lobo's daughter is kind of cool, but I don't know if any of them have staying power. If you take Robin out of that team, I don't know, or Damian out of the team, I don't know if that book sells that well. Now, with Young Justice, you can move Impulse into the Flash title easily, no problem. And they could probably do the same thing for this version of Kid Flash, probably no problem. Connor Kent can be part of the Superman books, no problem. Tim Drake obviously would probably go back to Gotham City and be just fine in one of the various Batman titles. Or maybe there'll be a new teen type of a book put together with Tim Drake in the lead. That's hard to tell. Honestly, the only character I was thinking was interested in was Crush, Lobo's daughter. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, and not to mention, Aquaman is getting canceled. Harley Quinn I just bought because of this is the last issue for Harley Quinn. Now, I don't know if she's getting a reboot. The only reason I bought it because it's the Joker War tie-in, and its tie-in is so very loose. But I thought, it's the last issue, and I kind of wanted to check it out. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a long answer, a long garbly gooked answer to be able to say what's going to happen with those teams, those character. I think they're probably going to go back to their home base, and then it'll be up to the writers to do whatever. I think long as James Tynion is currently writing Batman, I think that's the saving grace for Tim. To me, there has to be a reason to put Tim back in the Robin costume and take Damian out of the Robin costume other than just because. Well, we're going to do it just because. I think on paper that Tim Drake has lasted 30 years as a character, now 31 years as a character, and has been in a lot more prominent stories than Damian just because he's been around longer. I think there's more wiggle room with the Damian character that you could turn Damian into a better character. And if you look at Tim, like, yes, he was Red Robin, but then you get people making fun of the which I thought was cool, plays off the Kingdom Come aspect. But so then it's like, well, we're going to move him out of that. So then now they tried the Drake and that blew up in their face. So now you're left with this character. You either go, okay, we're just going to chuck him away because we can't figure out what to do with him, or he was arguably one of the best Robins that we had. And that's no slight to Dick Grayson at all. I'm a kid of the 80s and I have got my Superpowers action figures, which I can't find here right at the moment. My first Robin was Dick Grayson, but had become this really cool character later on because of a DC mandate. And sorry, Tavius also said, I keep saying Tavius, I apologize. Said, I'm guessing Naomi and Sideways are going by. Like, this would be the second time Sideways is going by. Sideways had his own series, which I didn't read until the Walmart 100-page giant came out, and he was the backup character in that. And okay, that wasn't too bad. Naomi will probably only stay around because of Bendis. And if Bendis is still writing Superman, she was initially inspired by having seen Superman fight. So I could see her just kind of find her way into the Superman title. Unless he leaves that book, then I could see Naomi going into the File 13, unless somebody sees value into that character. I think that's the hard thing too, creating new characters. I saw somebody say once, like somebody like a Scott Snyder, like, why am I going to continue to write a Tim Drake character and not really get any residuals? And you can even argue with Batman, why am I going to continue to write this Batman character? I'm getting no residuals off of it because it's not my creation. It's a creation that's been around for 80 years or 30 years, kind of like Leviathan. So if I create a new character, now that person's getting residuals. So I'm going to create Bluebird, and I'm going to create Duke Thomas, and I'm going to create Damian Wayne. And I'm going to do all these things. So that's why the Bat family is continue getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which I get. The argument is, well, Rob, if nobody ever created Tim Drake and said, we're stopping at Dick Grayson, you wouldn't have your favorite superhero, and we wouldn't be here on this live stream that's all about Tim Drake. Rogolzar, what a name. So I get why that is. You want to keep things new and you want to keep things fresh. But, and this is something I don't think Dan DiDio ever really got, you've got legacy characters for a reason. Even if you're like, all right, they decided to bring Barry Allen back, and then for a time there were 2 Flashes, which was great. They probably didn't need to get rid of Barry Allen for the sake of it. Let's create a new Flash, but they did it, and Wally West was great for a lot of people. Wally West is their Flash. They watched the Justice League animated TV series, and they absolutely loved it. So why bother to make the change? Did you see the Gotham Knights video game development said as to why they picked Tim to be Robin? Yes, I don't know if anybody's read that or not, but it's something that's happened in comics multiple times. They see that being a path and a trajectory for Tim to become Batman. As Tim's need to be Robin was because he knows that Batman needs a Robin, and he also knows the Gotham City needs a Batman. So in the video game, Bruce Wayne is dead. Tim may see the need for there to be a Batman, and if this game series goes on long enough, they may put Tim Drake in to be his Batman. So I think I'm paraphrasing their write-up, but you can search, Gotham Knights, Tim Drake, Robin. I think IGN had the article up recently. It was actually a pretty good read. And it's something that we've seen in comics a couple different times, Tim taking on the role of Batman, either by necessity because he knew he needed it, or begrudgingly because Dick, Jason, and Damian didn't want to be Batman, so Tim knew he needed to be. Tay says, indeed, legacy characters give us hope, which is why I was pissed Wally West got screwed over from being the Flash from Barry Allen came back. And he got screwed over 3 times. Wally got screwed over and I think for a while before the New 52 happened, my mind is going right. I think Terrence can correct me if I'm on this. There were 2 Flashes. We had Wally West and we had Barry Allen. And then the New 52 happened, and Wally West is gone. Rebirth happens, and Wally is the main thrust of the Rebirth universe coming back. And it's that whole thing of like, oh my gosh, we've got Wally West back. How cool is that? And then we get to Heroes in Crisis and Tom King. I'm just going to leave that right there. And now he's like this blue speedster, and he was potentially going to be like the 5G thing that may or still may not happen. I hope not. Tay says again, speaking of Tim Drake, Robin, that reminds me, how did you feel about Savior Tim Drake from Going to the Future after my boy? So because that was spinning off of the alternate version of Tim Drake that was almost murdery Batman, and then taking that a step farther and becoming the Savior. Now, if you ask me, Tim Drake is going to be one of these 2 characters. He's going to be the Drake or he's going to be the Savior. I'll tell you right now, I'll take the Savior in a heartbeat. As long as he's not murdery Savior. I liked that costume better than the Drake. Terrence is saying, yes, before 152, there were 2 Flashes. I think that's awesome. And there were other children Flashes, other family members. The Flash had a really good team. So I did not mind the Savior as an potential identity for Tim Drake. Now looking at what we had with the Drake, I would take that. Now I don't like him going after Jonathan and Damian like that. But again, it's an alternate version, a twisted version of Tim Drake. So I'm fine with a multiverse like that. But I thought the Savior costume was kind of cool. Cooler than the Drake, I'll tell you that right now. Tay, indeed, I hated the Heroes in Crisis so much that I'm hoping by the end of Death Metal, Wally West reuniting with his family. Oh, that would be great. His kids, Wally's kids, yes. Terrence the New 52 had Wallace West as Kid Flash, and DC tried to make us all think that it was new Wally West, but no one would buy it. Wallace is cool, but he's not Wally. Again, I'm fine with having new characters. The new characters don't have to take over the roles of previous characters. And I know I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth because I'm talking about my boy, Tim Drake, taking over the role of a previous character. That was a character they killed off. So I guess somebody could have said, well, Jason Todd should have come back and reclaimed his mantle as Robin. That didn't happen because they had a different plan for Jason. Both great characters, but not the same guy. Yes, indeed, Wallace isn't Wally. Again, if you want to make, I don't even go on the argument to keep things same here. You could have had that character, call him Steve West. Not even Steve West. Jack Johnson. I don't know. Whatever name you wanted him to be, could still be African-American and be a speedster. I would be fine with that all day long. There was no need to make him Wallace West when you had, this could be a political thing. I don't want to turn that into that, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. There are ways around to creating a character without having to repurpose identities and ethnicities because of reasons or because you're trying to check mark boxes. Just create a new character and let that character, like Jon Stewart, be a badass character and arguably probably one of the better Green Lanterns. I'm a huge Kyle Rayner guy, but I'm telling you, seeing the Justice League cartoons and seeing John Stewart Green Lantern up there, it's pretty badass. I like that version of Green Lantern. What else we got here? Indeed, let's see. Heck, the same can be said about Bart. Bart Tor, who was the New 52 Kid Flash, who was a murdery psychopath. The less we talk about the New 52 Teen Titans, Terrence will know, the less I will freak out about the New 52 Teen Titans. There's a swear word, SL. I'm not going to say the name, and I swear if anybody types it in, no, I'm kidding. Again, I think a lot of that was new for the sake of being new. Let's put pouches and buckles and wings and flying suits and harnesses. The Green Lantern book and the Batman book really didn't get changed all that much. There were just certain aspects of the family units that got changed slightly because of the New 52. Tim Drake was the biggest casualty of that. And again, if you put the New 52 glider wing suit, the Drake suit, and the Savior suit, I'm going to go with the New 52 glider wing suit. I grew to actually kind of like that costume. I still think the original Red Robin costume is better than the glider wing suit, but I would even say put him in the new, or not 52, the pre-New 52 cowled suit, take the cowl off, put the domino mask on Tim, and then I think you'd have a really good looking, he would look like Tim Drake Robin, but in a different suit. Anthony laughing probably at me. Take away Tim Drake from being Robin and making him Red Robin wearing the wings kind of felt like Falcon. Yeah, kind of weird. But all that being said, to go, when I mentioned Tim Drake, what do you think of? Robin. And that's one of those characters that DC decided to change for a third time, and they got it right. And then to try it, 20 some odd years later with Damian, and you had some people just still not on board with Damian being Robin, which I think is where they are. And maybe DC will pull Damian back out of the gutter and go, he's going to be a hero, but we had to get him to step away from the Robin role because these two individuals had a better self than what they were currently. I think, and that was the whole purpose, I think, of Rebirth, bringing Tim Drake into the Robin colored costume, this one here with the double R, whether you like the double R or not, I think symbolizing, because in the New 52, they said, well, he never was Robin. He just became Red Robin. So his first Robin costume was the 1 year later costume. So he never wore the green and red. I think that was James's way of saying, no, we're going to put his origin back the way it was. The year 3, the only place of dying origin, get him in the Robin costume. So Tim Drake looks like Tim Drake, like all of us Tim Drake fans know and like him as, and go, yes, that's Tim Drake. So I don't think of it as a regression. I think it's at the core of what Rebirth was stating. We want to get these characters back to their core of what made them great, what made them awesome, why they've lasted as long as they've had, why the legacy characters are important, and that's what that should have been. And if it would have stayed that way, I think we all would have been completely happy up until now. But now we're into this whole AT&T thing. Are we going to have floppies anymore? Is it all going to be digital? Are people's exposure only going to be in video games and movies, and maybe going to a bookstore or buying trades from, Barnes and Noble or whatever? Tay says, I was personally fine with Damian being Robin and teaming up with my boy, John Kent, Superboy being 10 years old self. However, I do agree with Rebirth saved Tim Drake. I think Rebirth really did. Because I think had the New 52 continued to go on, Teen Titans, I am surprised it lasted all the way. There are 52 issues. Is it 52 issues? I think 52 issues. And then it went to that DC YOU that bled into the New 52. So it it did actually go 52 issues if you count the relaunch of Teen Titans again. But I think if that had just fallen off, it's hard to tell where Tim Drake would have been. So I think Tiny and Rebirth saved Tim Drake for us to be having this conversation. And, I think that's why Terrence and Ryan and I are doing the Tim Drake, Everyone Loves the Drake podcast, to say, hey, everyone loves Tim Drake, and we want to tell you guys, bi-weekly or monthly, depending on how the episodes come out, why Tim Drake is an important character. And while I feel bad for Damian Wayne fans, I think us Tim Drake fans are going, finally, and I think the biggest thing is getting the Dio out of there. Just leave the Robins alone. Let Dick Grayson get back to being Nightwing. Let Jason Todd continue to be his badass Red Hood. And I still can't believe the writer of that book lasted as long as he did writing Red Hood, but Red Hood has his fans. And I really hope that this little guy, Damian here, can find a new vehicle that somebody can go, yeah, that's an even better fit for Damian as a character than being Robin. And then you can sit back and go, everybody's fine. Now just tell good stories. Quit trying to change the ball every time here. So I'm going to try and wrap things up here pretty quick. It's about an hour and 16 minutes. I was really hoping for an hour. So this is good, having some conversation back here, going back and forth. What do we got here? Oh, somebody typed in that name. Tavia, you were doing so well into this moment. As Terrence would say, you're fired from the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Says, same here. I'm surprised Teen Titans last that long for the New 52. Indeed, that guy wrote Red Hood through everything. Yeah. I'm really surprised that individual wrote Red Hood that long. So that's got to definitely say something for the Jason Todd Red Hood fans. And I may not even blame, I'll say it, I'm not even going to blame Lobdell. That may have been an edict from DC or Dan DiDio. You are going to do, we want the Teen Titans to be this. Change everything about the Teen Titans and all these characters to make him new, make him edgy, make him different, make him younger. So that may not have even been his doing, but you're still writing the stories. And Tim Drake sounded more like Tim Drake in Detective Comics and Batman Eternal, Batman and Robin Eternal. And even though Tynion was part of that, but Scott Snyder wrote Tim Drake, for little bits and pieces here or there, and other writers did. But in Teen Titans, man, that was rough. Our podcast promo has a whole new meaning. And that's the one thing I will say about the show. I had somebody say, are you going to change the name of the show? Like 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago now, when Terrence and I started this podcast and deciding to call the show Everybody Loves the Drake, in my wildest dreams, I never thought that was going to be a name that Tim Drake would use as a superhero character. And Tay, you're laughing at making me say that name. Son of a. Let's see, Terrence. Since now we know he's a creepy pervert. Yeah, exactly. Right. Talking about Lobdell. Karma comes around. I'm just saying. Literally, you mess with my boy. Anyway, that's bad. Bad joke. Bad Rob. Yep, Tynan's Tim Drake fanatic. Yeah, but what Lobdell did to Tim's origin is criminal. So that's one of those when people say, I've seen on Twitter quite a bit, because I know Twitter is a very happy place sometimes, but people are saying this is a character assassination of Damian Wayne. I get it. But I'm like, the line forms around the back, and us Tim Drake fans have been complaining about this very thing for about 12 years. Actually, not 12 years, more than that. More like 15, 16 years. Probably more since the New 52. So, yeah, we've seen our character go from Robin, Red Robin, Drake, now back to Robin. I'm like, just leave it alone. A couple more here, and then we'll get out of here for this this episode here. Chase says, yeah, the past comes around to bite you in the butt. And you deleted your last message. I wondered what you had said there. So hopefully you guys have liked this live stream. I thought this is something I just wanted to try and do between Terrence and I sharing the YouTube account here. We'll probably have to try and do a Google Hangouts next time that we can have Terrence on here and we can do a normal like podcast type show. Maybe we can even get Ryan and the trio of us, but definitely Terrence and I to do one of these so we can have more of a discussion back and forth. But this was cool that you guys have been chiming in and spread the word. We want to do more of these. We want to try and have more than just me talking here for an hour and change, but this has been a lot of fun. Another question here. Indeed, Tim Drake returning is an interesting, and I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen next. This is a lot of fun, guys. Great to chat comics. Show us your shirt. So if you want to go to our TeePublic store, you can buy this very shirt. I've got the default set really weird to black, and there is another version of this shirt that looks like the Robin tunic with the buckles on it and the R's over here with the Everyone Loves the Drake. So if you go to our Twitter page, let me see if I can do this really quick. I would try and share it up on the screen, but I don't. Yeah, I'm going to have to do Google Hangouts because if I try and share it on the screen, I think it will end the feed. But let's see if I can do this really quick. So if you go to our Twitter account, it's Twitter is at ELTD Podcast. You can email into the show at robineveryonelovesthedrake@yahoo.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/everyonelovesthedrake. We have a blogspot page at everyonelovesthedrake@blogspot.com. And actually, everyonelovesthedrake.blogspot.com. I'm saying it like it's an email address. But the pinned post, I don't know if you can see this or not. So our pinned post on Twitter, you can find a link to our TeePublic store, and you can buy this shirt. All of the proceeds go right back into funding the podcast. So we've got 2 shirts going up. You can get, I don't think you can get any hats yet, but you can get a pillow, you can get a mug, you can get a sticker. We have 2 different shirts up there, so a little shameless plug for us. But spread the love of Tim Drake, and maybe one of the next times the show, we can just branch it out into just a comics in general. And doesn't necessarily have to be Tim Drake, but this has been a lot of fun. And on a Friday night, just chilling out, going, I really want to talk. It's great doing the podcast, but when things happen live, it's like, oh, we're going to record it. Then that episode's going to get released, 2 or 3 weeks later after the actual thing has happened. So this has been a lot of fun. Let's see. And I jumped from topic to topic. Let's see. Let's see. Speaking of Robin, how do you feel about the Titans TV show? I don't mind it. I like it. I think I guested on Batman on Film, and we reviewed the first episode, seeing like that F Batman line from Dick Grayson going, oh, I don't know. I liked both seasons that we've gotten so far. I'm excited for season 3 or season 3. I'd be lying if I'm going, ooh, we're going to get a Tim Drake, our first live, appearance of Tim Drake. Let's see. You jump from topic to topic. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, Terrence. Hopefully that's a good thing. But it was very fluid. Yeah. Some say it might have fluidity. So yeah, this is fun. So I've been rambling on here. Thanks a lot, everybody. Check out our podcast. We're part of the BatmanUniverse.net. The show generally releases twice a month. We've got a bank of shows. We just released an episode this Wednesday. It's we're alternating all year long between doing an in continuity Tim Drake story, and I'll tell you that in just a second what we're getting ready to talk about. We're doing our alternating episode is 80 years. I have a guest come on, and they pick the topic for Robin. This last one was a friend of the podcast. Siskoid is his name. Siskoid's blog spot of geekery. He picked a 1940s Robin solo series from Star Spangled Comics, which is a lot of fun. We just released that this Wednesday. Coming up in 2 weeks will be Terrence and Ryan and I getting ready to talk about Batman Legacy. So that's coming right around the corner. I think it's Robin, help me, Terrence, Robin 36, 31, something like that. I can't remember the issue number, but we've got that coming up. So this is where I'm going to sign off. Check everything out. Again, if anybody wants a shirt, you can get it at TeePublic. And Terrence says he can't wait to see the death of Jason Todd on Teen Titans so that he can get the crowbar once again. So on behalf of Terrence, my other co-host that's in here, so sorry he couldn't be on the show. We'll get him on next time once I can figure all this out. But I'm going to sign off. Thanks, everybody. This has been a lot of fun tonight. Check out the podcast and all of our social media content. We'll see you guys, and we'll make this a regular thing, at least once a month, and maybe we can try and get some other YouTube content back up here. Spread the word, subscribe to all our social media contents, and if you listen to the show, leave us a review on iTunes, and maybe we will start doing some prizes, because I think I've got some for some reviews. But anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot. Take care. End of live stream. Now, end of live stream.